We have some significant breaking news from the NHL. It sounds like Evander Kane and the San Jose Sharks have come to a settlement agreement on his dispute of the wrongful termination of his contract. We'll discuss the details coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some breaking news from the NHL. Pretty significant info too. Evander Kane and the San Jose Sharks, who have been in a dispute, a bit of a battle here for the last several months over the termination of his contract, have come to a settlement, and terms appear to be pretty easy to handle on both sides. I think it's a fair deal. We'll look at a statement here quickly from the San Jose Sharks. They did confirm this through a media release, indicating that the Sharks and Kane have come to an agreement. The NHL and the NHLPA have both approved this deal, and it's not going to have a big impact on them financially, either in the current or upcoming seasons. Now, of course, we know that Evander Kane was in the midst of a 7-year deal, a $7 million contract. It had 3 years remaining. He was still owed approximately $19 million in cash over the duration of that contract. And then, of course, since then, he's gone on to sign a new deal with the Edmonton Oilers. The term of this contract with Edmonton matches the term remaining with San Jose, and that value is $16.5 million. So, obviously, he's lost out on about $2.5 million. Now, of course, the deal here appears to be that they're going to bridge the gap, and basically the Sharks are going to pay him the difference of what he's lost. I know there was a lot of talk early on in this process. What's going to happen? How could it work out? There were some that were saying that Kane could end up having his contract reinstated. He could end up back on the Sharks. They may be forced to trade him. Things like that. I never really thought any of that would materialize. Like the most logical part of this would be just to come to an agreement on some money being paid out, and away you go. Now, however, there is going to be salary cap implications for the San Jose Sharks due to this settlement. Essentially, you kind of are, admitting to some wrongdoing here. They put the contract through waivers for unconditional waivers for the purpose of contract termination. Certainly looks like they felt if they went through arbitration that they may have lost. Of course, that's the goal here, is you want to come to a settlement on your own. We've been waiting all summer for there to be further dates for hearings to take place to hear this case through the arbitration process, and that was never coming. So it kind of made you wonder what was going on. I had myself assumed that they must be talking regularly about a settlement, and that they must feel like they're getting close. Otherwise, this was going to happen. There was a lot of talk it'd be settled before free agency kicked in. It didn't. And then, of course, now we're approaching the new season, and here we are finally getting this worked out. Now, it was the original belief that what might happen here is that the $2.5 million that he's going to be getting would be spread out over the term of the contract, and the Sharks would face a cap charge, which would work out to be $833,000 per year. Right now, there is belief, though, according to reports from Frank Saravalli and CapFriendly.com, that it looks like Kane is going to be receiving a one-time retro payment, you could call it, for the difference, and that the cap hit is actually going to be retroactively applied to last year's salary cap, since that's when the contract was actually terminated, when all this actually went down. The Sharks did have around $5 million in salary cap available space at the end of the season, so it's not like they were capped out. So it doesn't sound like it's going to have any impact on their salary cap situation moving forward. I mean, even if they did have that $833,000 over 3 years, that's really not that bad. I mean, look at the LA Kings situation when they dealt with the Mike Richards buyout. That was a completely different scenario, but still, like, they ended up with a cap hit for several years, whereas this is going to be retroactive, according to Cap Friendly, which, based on my memory, serves correct here. That's the first and only time this has ever happened. You've had a retroactive change to the salary cap like that. But ultimately, this has worked out well for the Sharks. They can basically do a one-time payment and be done with this mess. Kane moves on, will play with the Edmonton Oilers, and his new contract will carry forward as projected and as we all suspected it would. But so all that talk before about maybe his contract being reinstated, or could the Sharks be forced to take him back and trade him, I really never saw that materializing. That is too awkward and difficult for all parties involved, and that would have been a really unlikely. I guess it was theoretically possible, but I don't think too many people thought it was actually going to happen. So let me know your thoughts if you think this deal is fair. It seems like it's not going to have an impact on San Jose moving forward. Kane gets a chunk of money. Everybody moves forward, and the deal is done with. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. We'll talk about it further. If you're new to this channel, of course, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the latest news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.